Oh yeah. Yeah. A little spa thing going on. A little spa thing going on. She's like, am I on the camera? All right, let's go. Welcome on in. Peace and blessings, family.
It definitely sounds like we're finna blast off.
We are Dragon Squad. Dragon Squad. Well, you know, the dragon is code for Kundalini. Yeah, it's deeper than just some Kundalini. It's whoo. Welcome on in. Now, we have the glorious sun in our horizon. Because, you know, it's all about horizon. You ain't really doing it right if you ain't really tapping into horizon. Peace,
You got your
family.
map off. You got your map on?
Yes.
You can cut it off. I know how to get
Oh,
that.
you don't need it.
Nope, I know how to get that.
Well, all right. So make sure you hit the like button. Appreciate all y'all for coming in this wonderful Saturday evening. I thought it was rather important for me to get this transmission out. It's been a rather busy week for Mr. CueReaves. When it comes to regression therapy, the downloads, you know, whatever term we want to use, it's been a very, very productive, at times, busy week. How y'all doing in the life? Who we got in the building? Anastasia in the building. In the building. Sammy Joe in the building. Key Love in the building. Where the Lego key? I'm not sure what the question is, but what's good, Blunt Man? What's good, Michael? Naya in the building. She's driving. She's allowing me to be able to get this live done while she holds down the driving situation. I really appreciate her. Shouts out to England in the building. 46 of y'all in the building in less than 3 minutes. Let's go. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome. Yes, indeed. Right on time, Gigi. You ain't never lied. Good afternoon, Q. Good afternoon to you. What time is it in England right now? Is it nighttime? Are y'all kind of concluding y'all day? That's right. Smash that like button as you coming in. Shouts out to Nix for being here right on time. Well, today's video is based on a regression session that I had recently. Now, before I get into this specific regression session, it's important for you to realize that scholarship is important when it comes to the realm of subconscious. And I don't mean scholarship in the context that you have to read every single book, you have to watch every single YouTube, you have to listen to every single regression sessions that's available. It isn't about information necessarily. It's about awareness. Now, information can increase one's awareness, indeed, but so can observation. So keep in mind that observation is extremely helpful when it comes to awareness, but so does information. So if I'm speaking on scholarship, I'm specifically speaking on your ability to become informed and your ability to observe. The problem is people often get lost to one direction. They either are great at observing or they're great at getting information or reading information, etc., etc. It's important for you to be able to be aware of both realms. the realm of observation and the realm of information. Because in a regression I was doing recently, the female was, well, in the regression session, they specified certain names. And they explained how these names are being used because these are the names that my client is familiar with. And that the more aware she becomes, like for example, the energies of Kali Ma and Lilith came forward. But the energy of Kali Ma was very specific, saying that she is an older construct than Lilith. But because of how much Lilith has been able to seed herself into the subconscious of individuals, there's TV shows written about her. There's comics written about her. There's all different constructs in connection to this entity of Lilith. Lilith is mentioned in the zodiac. Lilith is mentioned in astrology. So you just have all these different, Lilith is mentioned in Muslim culture, Christian culture, Jewish culture. So because of her dominance and making sure she is acknowledged on a subconscious level to you, Kali Ma made it very specific that Lilith is the one that kind of has the authority when it comes to being a representation of the divine feminine. That she is, in essence, one of the strongest divine feminine polarities. So you can't, she was basically explaining that you can't unlock the full potential of Kali Ma until you understand the aspects of Lilith. Until not only you understand the aspects of Lilith, but the experiences that this Lilith has had. Kali Ma kind of considers herself outside of the humanoid experience. And that's kind of deep to conceptualize that you do have gods and goddesses that don't necessarily associate to the human timeline or the humanoid timeline, where this entity Lilith does. I wasn't coughing all day. And now that I'm talking about this stuff, they want to conjure up all this extraness. No worries. Aquafina on them hoes. It's actually Ozark, but you get what I'm saying. So, this is why I say it's very important for you to be able to be observant and informed. So let's just keep that in mind. It's very, very important. Observation and information. It's pivotal. It's pivotal. Now, thank you so much, Michael, for your give and receive. Thank you for blessing the collective. $1 holla in the building. 8 minutes, $1 holla already down. 19 blessings to go if we can get there. If we can get there. Yes, indeed. I am aware that a lot of y'all may not be as tech savvy as some of the younger generation. So this is why I often allow the donation option to be on my website. For any of you that kind of want to go that direction in donating or contributing to the give and receive construct, you can head on over to the website as well. All right, so let's get into this video. So I have my client, and as we enter into this regressive state, I want you to know that everyone doesn't experience the same things. I want you to know that we are walking in the steps of our ancestors. So here's another construct they wanted to explain. They're what we call God's favorites, or the favorites of the gods. These are basically humans that the gods and goddesses have shown favoritism towards, observe, watch, influence, connect, manipulate, all these things. That there is favoritism amongst the gods. So I then asked the question, how do you decipher one avatar versus the other avatar? And they said that it has to do with connection. So I said, okay, can you give me more details on what you mean connection? Well, it's specified that we have their DNA. Means that we have their genetic imprint. Which means that on a genetic level, we are associated to their experiences. So their experiences can and often does become our experiences. Your ancestors' experiences can and is often your own experiences. So it's even broke down on a deeper level to explain that there are humans that are basically walking in the steps of the gods and goddesses' experiences that dwell on this planet. So I said, okay, so can we quantify this? Can we like put it in a way that you can help me decipher what gets more attention from you versus the ones that get less attention from you? And this is the way they explained it. They said that I want you to imagine that a god has taken 5,000 steps before it has transitioned into another realm where it then is identified as another construct. So kind of think of it as Zeus, all right? Or here we go, Odin. So you have the entity known as Odin. But on the flip side, you have another entity that represents the same ideologies as Odin. He calls himself Ogon. So you have Odin and Ogon. Odin, Ogon. And these two entities are one and the same, but they are in different. They have existed as this title in different spaces and places. It's no different than how I explain how humans have to wear many hats. Where, for example, when you wake up in the morning, you have a husband, you have a boyfriend, you have a wife, you have a girlfriend. You may wake up sexual, and you have to be a sexual being. And you might even make a nickname for your sexual being or for that personality. You may call yourself JoJo during this time. Now, your name can be Jody, but you've created this abbreviation to represent your sexual side. So you call yourself JoJo. They're one and the same, but they're different constructs. Joey and JoJo are not the same being. You have to be Jody when you're around your grandmother. You get to be JoJo when you're with your friends, when you're with your girlfriend. So it's the same thing for these gods when you see them representing themselves as Ogon and then switching around and representing themselves as Odin. They're the same entity. Now, conceptualize what I'm saying. Say that Odin has taken 5,000 steps during its existence. All right? Now say that there is a human on this planet that has matched the vibration of Odin. So guess what? It's walking in the same steps as Odin. But you got to realize that you're not just influenced by one entity. So kind of think of it as you have 4 entities you connected to and you're walking in all their steps. So of course you're not going to live a life where it's just you matching the 5,000 steps of Odin. Impossible. You can't just match the 5,000 steps of Odin because you then have Inanna, you then have Artemis, you have Hecate, you have all these other entities that are influencing your steps as well. Every little step I take, you will be there. Every little step I take. They're telling you in the songs what this is about. So here's the analogy. Say that I'm a human and I'm one of the 100 avatars of Odin. Well, say me as this version has only take 500 steps in connection to the 5,000 steps of Odin. Well, say that you have walked 1,500 steps out of the 5,000 steps of Odin. You have walked in 1,500. You have walked in the shadow of Odin 1,500 times. Well, I have walked in the shadow of Odin 500 times. So now you can conceptualize how there's favorites. Of course, I'm going to show favoritism to something that's matching my vibration more. So because you've taken 1,500 steps, I'm focusing on you more than the one that took 500 steps. And I'm focusing on the one who took 500 steps more than the one that took 50 steps. And I'm focusing on one that took 50 steps that don't even know about me. So this is how it works. Does that make sense? Kind of zoning out. No worries. That's kind of how that idea works. Matching their vibration. Kind of, when you call it shadow work, I don't really think people conceptualize the idea that you're literally walking in the path to something that has supported you. If you ever look at your shadow, it's often beside you or behind you, because your shadow represents a support system. So when you do shadow work, it is you identifying the energies and entities that's associated with supporting you. It's a real deep thing. But basically, this is what they wanted you to understand. Now, those that have kind of matched the closest vibration to them, it said that they will become them. So, let's get into the dragons of Lemuria. Now, many of you have heard of the destructive force that has fallen upon Hawaii, Maui specifically. Many of us have been given insight that there has been great destruction by fire, which is why I often said that the West Coast is going to be dealing with, not the West Coast, but the West will be dealing with fire. And I want you to understand Hawaii is kind of connected in that West construct. I want you to also know that Hawaii is said to be remnants of Lemuria. So is aspects of Mexico, California, but it is said to be the shadow of Lemuria. And in this regression, they said that it is essential that Lemuria rises, because with the rising of Lemuria, comes the rising of memories. You have to understand that a land can spark memories. For example, if you haven't been home or to your hometown, all right, say I haven't been in New Haven, Connecticut in 10, 15 years, and I was to go back to Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, 10, 15 years later, it's going to usher in memories. It's going to unlock things that I've actually forgotten, that I haven't even really needed to use because I wasn't really a part of that vibration. But the moment Lemuria starts to rise again is the moment the memories associated with Lemuria starts to rise. So keep that in mind. This is all about timing. That y'all are literally putting yourselves into the right frequency, into the right space and place so that you can unlock yourself. This is why you've even agreed to be a part of a construct known as time. Now, of course, many of you agreed to be a part of a construct known as gravity, because without gravity, you wouldn't be able to feel. Without gravity, you would never be able to be grounded. Without gravity, you would never be able to interact and interlock with each other. Sex is associated to gravity. How deep is that? Many haven't even associated the ideology that gravity and sex are one and the same. And then with the combination of time and gravity, you can manifest a being. Keep that in mind. Through the constructs of gravity and time, 9th dimensional and 8th dimensional constructs, you literally can bring in something from an invisible realm. Thank you so much, Olachi. For your Cashapp family, 2nd blessing in the building. Thank you, Patrice, for the 3rd blessing in the building. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button, $ CueReaves, and I've actually missed the super chats. My bad. It didn't show me right away. Thank you so much, Nix, for your blessing. 4th blessing in the building. Thank you, Anastasia, so much for your blessing. 5th blessing in the building. Rude Awakening, thank you for your blessing. 6th blessing in the building. Thank you for your $1 holla. Greatly appreciated. So, many of you have heard of some of the things that have happened in Maui. But many of you may not have heard of some of these things. So this is what they wanted to make sure I informed the collective about, so that the collective can be prepared and aware for what's to come. So they have explained that when the destruction that happened in Maui, it happened the same day that schools were canceled. So that you had a great number of children that were home during these uncomfortable moments. I want you then to keep in mind that till today, they're still having difficulty finding the bodies of these children. They don't really know where these children are. I mean, they haven't actually assumed that they were all burnt, because I also want you to understand that It takes a great amount of heat to be able to turn bones into ashes. And as you look at some of the pictures, you have palm trees still intact. You have different aspects of these fires that didn't really make sense. It almost seemed as if these fires were conscious. That it almost seemed like these fires were choosing certain quote unquote victims. And this is why you have a lot of people theorizing that this was the government. That this allegedly were governments that have been doing these laser beams, that there are aircraft with laser beams. Yes, they have that technology. But what I will tell you is this is not at play. That the government has nothing to do with what is happening in Lemuria right now. If anything, they explain that all they're allowing the governments to do right now is to keep themselves busy until until what happens, which I'm not going to get into. So they're really just keeping them busy until they run into their little underground bunkers, so that then they know where all the elites are, so that they then can equalize or balance out some of their destruction or some of their attacks that have happened to the light of the chosen. So this is what they informed me happened in Hawaii. They said that it had nothing to do with lasers, that this had to do with the dragons, that there were 3 dragons that affected Hawaii. And this is what they said. They took my client to Hawaii to show him what happened. And this is what he said he saw. He said he saw 3 heads emerge out of the water. He says, as these 3 heads were emerging, they came out like the Loch Ness Monster. He said it kind of looked like the Loch Ness Monster. But he said that as soon as they landed on land, they transformed. He said one dragon transformed into a lizard man. And this lizard man wore like a priest robe or like a priest gown. And he was responsible for writing or taking notes, basically observing. Now this is really interesting because Naya had a premonition a few months back about a time that there was going to be an intervention between a insectoid. What was the other thing?
Devin.
Oh, okay. So it was in it was an insectoid species that was responsible for kind of taking notes and monitoring what was happening. While then there is this white lion I often refer to as Devin that considers himself part of the Galactic Federation. And this entity was choosing who kind of gets judged. Now, there's more to say about that, but let's just focus back on these dragons. So one dragon was responsible for note-taking. The other dragon was responsible for taking individuals away from harm. So it was explaining how he was taking humans and he was placing them in a cloud. That there was this dragon-like species that was able to take 100 people, beings, at once on its back through thought manifestation, able to create a prism that allows these humans to stay. And I don't want to use the word like a cage, but kind of like a cube where it can observe, but it won't be harmed. And it then places this prism in a cloud. So there are humans that are basically in a see-through prism where they can see the skies, they can see below them, but they are in a cloud. He says, we're going to come back for you so that we can put you through the portals. Now, it's interesting that they're speaking on portals because it's specified that when things get real on this planet, no metal craft will be taking anyone. They explain that if there are humans that really believe that there will be a metal craft, now there are crafts of light, that's different, but if you believe that a metal craft is going to take you away from the problems of Earth and keep you safe, you are going to be harvested. That they don't use inorganic systems. That there are entities that are associated to the inorganic systems, but when we're talking about the primordial mothers, when we're talking about the primordial creatures, they're not using no ships. They're using crafts of light and portals. So, this prism, which could be considered a craft of light, housed over 100 beings. They said they did this twice. So there were 200 beings that were saved from the complications in Hawaii. I said, wow, that's really not a lot of people. They said, because you don't understand what you're dealing with. I said, okay, help me understand. They said, to really understand how much realness you deal with in the life, they said that 1 out of every 8 people that you engage with every day are real. 1 out of every 8. And they said they want y'all to start doing to practice counting how many people you engage with, how many people you have eye contact with. This is what they consider engagement, eye contact. If you're not looking at them and they're not looking at you, do not count them. But if you have an eye contact, then of course, you have conversation and things like that come from that. But 1 out of 8 people that you are looking at is real. So the other 7 are not. So I want you to put this in perspective. There are 8 billion people on this planet. That means that there's only 1 billion people that are genuine, that are real, that matter, while the other 7 billion are a plethora of things. From NPCs to possessions to all kinds of stuff that they broke down or explained. But they were basically signifying that, keep in mind, 1 out of every 8. Do not go past that number. You will be fooled. So they said that there are still 600 more people that have to be rescued, and that there's still going to be other complications that are going to happen to the Hawaiian Islands within the next year. And they specify that they're going to take a total of 800 people from Hawaii. Now, they explain that when this goes down, that there are going to be humans that have the ability to create these portals themselves. And that these portals will never be able to be accessed if the human has not been able to master their emotional body. They want you to understand that your emotional body is what creates the portal. It is your mental body that allows you to go somewhere through it. It is not your astral body or spiritual body connected to this. Your astral body is associated to the dream state. That matters when you go to sleep. So your astral body does not associate to this. And your spiritual body is the attachment of your ancestors. Now, they're training you right now. Your spiritual body is training you. It's training your mental body. It's training your emotional body. Your ancestors are training you right now. When you think of spirit, think of ancestors. When you think of spirit, think of ancestors. When you think of mental body, think of thoughts and memories. When you think of your emotional body, think of your emotions. When you think of your astral body, think of what you do and where you go when you go to sleep. This is all training. Your astral and spiritual body are training bodies to make sure that you keep intact your mental and emotional body, which really has the power. Now, I want you to know that your emotional body and your etherical body are associated to each other. You access your etherical body through your emotional body. But you have to remember how to use one's emotions to travel. You know how I say the saying, anger gets shit done? Well, that's one emotion that you use to travel. But I want you to realize that you don't want to open no one's portal out of anger, because you may go to an angry place. You don't want to open a portal out of anger. It may lead you to an angry place. Thank you so much, Laney, for your super chat. That's the 7th blessing in the building. And Michelle, thank you, thank you, thank you. 8th blessing in the building. Thank you. Much appreciation. So, they said that there are several things that are going to be like confirmations. What they said was, they said that Atlanta, July 2024, is definitely in a position to change the world. I was like, what does that mean? Atlanta, July 2024. They said, all we're going to tell you is you do not want to be in the Atlanta area in July 2024. It's like, why? What's happening? Can you be specific? There was no specifics. But they did say that you need to start building a relationship with Stone Mountain. Those of you who are in Atlanta, you have almost a year to start building a relationship with Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain is a dragon. They want you to understand that, yes, there are dragons that dwell within the water, but there are also dragons that are your mountains, that there are also dragons that are your buildings, that there are dragons that are other constructs as well. So start developing a relationship with Stone Mountain so that Stone Mountain can guide you during the complications of Atlanta. I want you to also keep in mind, The Walking Dead is based on Atlanta, or the outbreaks of the Atlanta vicinity. I want you to also keep in mind that the CDC is in Atlanta. Now, I don't know the specifics. They won't tell me the specifics, but they will say, be mindful of Atlanta, July 2024. The Walking Dead was filmed on the outside of Atlanta. So keep that in mind as well. They're doing this as, listen, they have to tell you what's to come because it's your story. This ain't their story, it's your story. So in order for you to be able to manifest or create your story, we got to tell you your story. So they're going to tell you what's up. This is why they even gave me this information, so I can tell y'all a little bit about this. So, what else was there to be said? They basically said that there are going to be dragons that are going to be responsible for the gathering. Anything?
When we leave it right here for a second?
Yeah. Responsible for the gathering of the collective. They said that during this time frame, between 2024 and 2027, humanity, the chosen ones, will be going through an upgrade period. So, they explained how during this upgrade, the ones that are chosen to return. So they're basically saying it's going to seem as if individuals disappear. Loved ones, people, you don't know where they're at. And that they're going to start showing themselves or presenting themselves again in the year 2027. And when they show themselves or come back, they're going to be different. For example, my client saw himself about 7-8 feet tall with an additional 200 pounds of muscle. He talking about 8-pack, super ripped. He said he literally saw himself like a superhero. I was like, okay, well, bro, maybe you just want to see yourself like that. Tell me who else you see. Because he basically was able to go to the time where he was starting to view all the different people in their upgrades. And he said it's really going to be an extension of what you already do. So, for example, people who have extended their hand for others, these people are going to be able to actually stretch their limbs. For example, say that there is a pineapple 15 feet above in the tree, or a coconut. There we go. There's a coconut 15, 20 feet in the tree. These individuals can literally manipulate their body structure to grab that coconut 20 feet off the tree. Now, why would we want that tree closer to the sun compared to the lower coconuts? Well, it's because we're going to take on a different ability to absorb life. So they said that the average person that's going to be able to survive or return is going to have a lifespan of 500 years. And I'm like, I mean, that sounds like the Bible, Moses, and all these other people that lived an extreme amount of time. And they were like, that's true. But do you know how they were able to live that long? And I said, no, tell me. They said it had to do with their ability to sustain things that they ate. So, for example, if we were to consume something now, it can give us energy for the day and allow us to sustain ourselves maybe 3 days. But during this time frame, they want you to understand that when you are to eat something that has life in it or comes from the life, it's going to extend your life 50 to 100 times more. So you eating an apple right now may give you, let's just say, 6 hours of life or 6 hours of a charge. If you were to eat that apple in the future, that apple just added 6 years to your life. One apple. Let's just say 60 weeks compared to 6 hours, if 6 years is too extreme. But this is what the food is going to be able to do for you. And it's actually happening now. They said this is actually happening to people now. They eat less. They still can sustain themselves. They can charge themselves up more. It's already happening. They said that beef would be banned for the chosen. Now, of course, you understand pork is already kind of out of that. But beef will be banned for the chosen. The reason for this is because the cow has gone through so much torture. The cow, and it's such an empathic entity based on the brain size and the organ size. So if you want to understand what gives something more sentientness, it has to do with the brain size and the organ size. That's why dogs kind of forget. And then a little bit bigger, they have a little bit better. A little better with the training, a little better with the memory. The theory is that it has to do with the brain size and organ size. So they say it's okay for us to eat fish and chicken, but we're going to have to lay off on the beef until we upgrade the cows. So we're going to be responsible for not only upgrading ourselves, but upgrading the world. We're about to be upgrading the animals. We're about to be upgrading the trees. We're about to be upgrading the vegetation. We're going to be upgrading it not only through thought process, but consumption as well. We having issues? It says try resetting your phone. Am I having issues? Y'all not being able to check in? Is it messing up? It's messing up. Testing, 1 2 1 2. Hopefully we ain't having no issues. I'll be trying to disconnect transmission because I'm dropping these bars and 150 people listening. All right, it's good now. All right, cool. So, so cows, we got to fall back on. They also said that if we want to access the realm of the oceans, if we want to learn the secrets or the memories of the oceans, we're going to be able to eat the oysters, the fish, the shrimp, the crab, anything that dwells of the water. They will be sacrificing themselves to us so that we can upgrade their future generation, so that we can help their generation to come. So fish, animals of the sea, we're going to learn about Atlantis. Eat from the chicken eat from insects. They want you to know that this is going to become a thing as well. The consuming or eating of insects. Because they're going to give us information of the land. So, if you now want to start learning more about the indigenous, more about Lemuria, we're going to be consuming these entities so that we can start getting these downloads. And it's coming after the upgrade. This is a part of the upgrade. Our ability to be able to upgrade life. That's the beauty of it. It ain't just about upgrading self. Yeah, that's cool. But what else? What is outside of self? Everything. And everything is self. So if you upgrade self, you can upgrade everything. Keep that in mind. Make sure that drive that home. If you can upgrade self, you can upgrade everything. Thank you so much for your super chat, family. I didn't forget Daylight with the super chat. Thank you. I think that's like the 9th blessing in the building. Let's go. Thank you. I get kicked off the live a lot. Michael, they don't be wanting you to hear this. Your ancestors be like, bruh, chill. You be dropping too much gems. Too much jewels. So keep that in mind. The upgrade is real. And you are a part of this upgrade. You was born for this upgrade. And part of the upgrade is what we refer to as total recall. Where you will start to recall the aspects of you that have been removed from you. You will start recalling the memories of you that have been removed from you. It's beautiful. It really is. To be in this time right now. And I want you to know, start paying attention to portals. They're going to be in your sky. They're going to be in your backyard. Things are going to go missing. What the hell just happened to that? You created a portal. This is exercise. If you start seeing things go missing, if there's things that start to like be in one place and then you go back and it's in another place, they're showing you that you have the ability to create portals. And if you can start creating these portals, you're already preparing yourself for the upgrade. Now, there's going to be great changes that happen during this time frame. There's a lot of attention towards Russia and China. How the chosen ones will then have to kind of subdue the powers and totalitarianism of Russia, China. Keep in mind, the Trumpster is going to be in office for one specific reason. To trigger Russia, China. So everything you're seeing right now is setting the stage for him to become the president. And once he becomes the president, the goal is to trigger the boom. To trigger the boom. Ain't that some shit? So I saw a black wheel expanding and contracting in the sky a few weeks ago. Telling y'all, it's a deep thing. Y'all really setting yourselves up for greatness. Just so you know. They want that like they want to tell you crazy. They want to tell you seeing things. There's a lot happening right now. There's a lot of possession happening right now. And what's crazy is I spoke to one of the energies and I said, why do you give some vessels more than others? They said we give the ones more that are non-factors. Because we give them more because what they do with it won't factor into us. So you give the lesser avatars of Yah more. Yes. And you give them more because they're going to have capabilities and access to things that could factor into these gods and goddesses. But because they're so low vibrational, because they're so unaware or out of the loop, They don't really get to do things to affect them compared to us that are doing things without all these tools, without all this money, without all this information, without all this access, without all these cars, without all these homes, without all these private jets, without all these things some of these other people have. And we're doing more to affect them than they could. So then I was cool with that. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Y'all really don't want us to replace y'all, but it's inevitable. You know the story of Zeus and Kronos? The guy rises up and supplants or replaces the father. This really gets deep. I just can't really get into all the details. How the energy of Marduk has one of the strongest holds over the collective. He holds the most contracts out of every god or goddess that you have associated with. And it was strictly based on destroying your mother. This entity known as Marduk literally has so much emotional control over the daughters of the dragon, over the daughters of Tia, over the daughters of Tiamat, over the daughters of the dragon, the etherical dragon. And because he knows that he has been able to pull on women's emotions by simply destroying where they come from, it's no different than what they've done to black people. So what they done with black people was destroy their history, destroy where they come from. And they did that to the divine feminine females on this planet now. And what was crazy is when Marduk came forward in this session, he crying like a little girl, talking about, I just want to be there. I just want to be there when the daughters of the dragon rise up. We all want to be here. It's going to be one of the greatest moments to ever exist. Why I'm not allowed to be there. And I'm looking at bro like, are you serious? You just destroyed a mother. You want to be present when the daughters of the dragon rise up. For what? So you can antagonize them? So you can poke the bear? Why do we want the daughters of Tiamat to awaken and rage? Tripping out like Medea, grabbing her gun. We don't want the daughters of the dragon behaving like that. And if you gonna be a trigger for them to act like that, bro, you gotta go. And this is why I've explained, just because the mother allowed you to be her conqueror, meaning that she was willing to submit for a second, hold me down. Go ahead, conquer me. Conquer me, get on top, hold me down, be a conqueror. She allowed that for a long time. Until she realized that I don't need to be conquered no more. And nor do my children have to observe their mother being conquered anymore. We're going to change it. I'm no longer going to support the vibration of conquering. I'm about to start associating to champion. And that I'm now looking for my champions. I'm looking for the chosen ones that will hold me up and not hold me down. And y'all got to start looking at how y'all treating y'all sisters, y'all mamas, your daughters, your girlfriends, your wives. That's a telltale sign of how you're going to start operating when these entities start rising up. Someone had to check me up here and was like, you better let Naya talk because she's associated to powerful guys as well. Don't try to silence her. And what's crazy is that must have happened last live when we was talking together and I didn't even know I was doing that. And what's crazy is I be trying to explain that you have men that have a memory within them that they used to be slaves to women. Whether you are aware of it or conscious of this or not on a subconscious level, which affects your body as a male is always being reminded every time you're in the presence of a woman that she once ruled over you. Remember, you was in her stomach. Remember, you was in her stomach. What I'm saying ain't far-fetched. You was in her belly. At a time, she ruled over you. You thought what she thought. You ate what she ate. You felt what she felt. You did get what I'm saying? Although you was able to detach yourself from her portal, you still kind of stemmed from that. A time that she has ruled over you. Now, as above, so below. So if so below meaning inside the stomach, then as above meaning outside the stomach, that had to represent a time as well. A time that women ruled all. And this scares men. Because what authority do they really have? They take the little bit of control they have with manipulating your emotions. This is why menstruation, menopause, this is why the things that women have to deal with, specifically with the releasing of the specific hormones in their body that can alter their emotions. So, I just wanted y'all to kind of get wind that, we at a time frame now where the enemy is going all out. And they want you to believe in Project Bluebeam. They want you to believe in little UFO craft flying around. What's these little glickering and flickering lights and stuff like that? I want you to understand that if there's a craft of light that's going to take you anywhere, that craft of light is either going to manifest, just like some of us are really powerful with sound. And I want you to understand that through sound, through the power of the Om, you can create this portal. But some of you haven't activated your throat chakras yet. Some of you haven't quite figured out how to use the power of your sound yet. I don't want to go on YouTube. I don't want to be heard. I don't want to use my voice. I don't want to. That's kind of what you've been on. So your throat chakra ain't going to be able to create this own portal. But some of you are observant and informed enough that you can manifest a ball or a bubble of light. And that when shit gets real, that you can manipulate light prisms. I want you to understand that there are light molecules all around you. You just haven't been able to increase their vibration. So through your thoughts, through the power of one's mind and the connection of one's ancestors, regression therapy is very important in this. This can allow you to visualize this light sphere and enter it if something happens. Meaning that if something was to happen to this planet, to your home, to your city, none of that affects you as long as you're within your bubble, bubble boy, bubble girl. Now, if you let something pop your bubble, meaning if you don't have your mental state in check and be able to be consistent with this thought process, you let the devil in, he's going to pop your bubble and you're going to get harmed. Now, many of you have to discover this bubble in regression therapy. This is why I have y'all see y'all light in these sessions. I'm literally trying to prepare people for what's to come. This is why I keep saying regression therapy is vital. Vital. And whatever way you think it is or whatever way you think it's going to go, it's not going to go that way. I just want you to know that. I think 90% of the sessions that I've had, whatever way they thought it was going to be, it ended up completely different. Most of the time for the good. Now, most people just want to be lied to or manipulated or see some shit like it's a Hollywood movie and they kind of get some feelings off that and then they go on to the next thing. I'm not fake like that. So I have to do what your mind wants to show you. Keep that in mind. I'm not telling you to see these things for 2 hours. I mean, think about this. You're going to be in a quiet space, secluded from the outside world, enter your internal mind and communicate to me for 2 hours without even thinking about it. Without even thinking about it. You're not thinking about these things. This ain't like, what should I say next? All right, what could I make up next? What could I imagine next? You don't even got time to think about it. It just flows. It just goes. It just goes. And then when they take over you, you now feel what it's like to be possessed by an entity. The Lilith entity got mad at my client and was like, no, don't try to talk to me now. You don't even want to acknowledge that all bodies is female. You still have a problem with that idea, but yet you want to call on the divine feminine. You want to access the divine feminine, but you can't even acknowledge that your body's feminine. It like spazzed on him, and it spazzed on him to him and was saying it out loud in that voice. I was just like, damn, this thing is deep. It's so deep how this goes. And they wanted me to even get to the point where they were like, Q, if you don't start coming up here and telling people that you're going to be the one to help unlock this that you are the one that gives these individuals a fighting chance. Now, not everyone needs this, but think about what I'm telling you these things do, and you can decide if you need it or not. But what they are adamant about me vocalizing to the collective before I get off this thing is, I am one of these individuals. Now, I was like, I don't feel comfortable saying that. It sounds like egotistical, walking around talking about I'm the one, like I'm Neo. I don't even feel right saying that. And they were like, so what, you don't feel right walking into your path of destiny? You don't feel right stepping up to what you came here for? Just because you're the one don't mean there aren't other ones. But in this case, you the one. So don't fight it. Let them know you are the one that can help them, and then they can decide if they want the help or not. But there's people that won't even say I'm the one that can help you. And if you really want to conceptualize, I'm not helping you. I'm helping you help you. Help me help you. I'm not telling you what to see during these sessions. You telling me what you seeing. And how deep it go? Oh my God. Oh my God. It go deep. It go deep. So that's all I got for y'all. Definitely gonna be up here tomorrow. I just wanted to kind of drop this little short video, letting y'all realize that they're saying that the destruction that happened in Hawaii is based on us reconfiguring it to be the new Lemuria. That we are literally taking the land back and now going to have safe zones that no energies can interfere with, that no energies are going to be able to invade, and that what we're dealing with between 2025 and 2045 is the rising of Lemuria and the rising of Atlantis. Now, we as the indigenous chosen people have Lemuria point blank, period. Russia, China can never get access to Lemuria, but Russia, China doesn't want Lemuria. Russia, China wants Atlantis. So it is vital that we become activated in Lemuria so that not only of us who have a connection to Lemuria, some of us lived long enough to exist during Atlantis time. So we're going to have to protect Atlanta, Queen Atlanta, that she could potentially be invaded by an enemy, and if we don't activate or wake up, she may not be able to get her land back. Lemuria is already ours. Mary already gave us our land. This is ours. Maria, this is ours. From the land of darkness, from the land of the dead or the Darth. That's us. We got that. But Atlantis can be an issue, just like it has been an issue in the past. And the reason why this has to happen is because Lemuria and Atlantis is when everything messed up anyway. When there was the complications and problems we're dealing with currently in humanity as we speak, it stemmed from Lemuria and Atlantis. This is why we have to go back to the future to be able to fix that timeline. And those of us that were in that timeline have to get back to that timeline. This is why we're here. But any of y'all want to experience regression, you can head on over to the website, CueReaves.com. I have a payment plan up there through Sizzle. You can pay on these regressions if it's not something you can pay out of pocket or in full. Any of y'all want name readings, any of y'all want one-on-one conversations with me, any of y'all need guided meditations, y'all know the number, y'all know the email. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you haven't checked out this whole video, it's been gems from beginning to end, so dial back. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. I know we at 10 blessings in the building. We wanted to try to get to 20, but I understand 10 is still a productive amount with an hour video. If I was up here an hour and a half or 2 hours, I could see how we got to get to our 20 mark, but we had an hour. We had 10 blessings in the building, so I appreciate y'all. Till next time, I love y'all.